Escaping the lance is a defense against an opponent who's holding a knife to your throat from behind. The word lance suggests the knife itself. The word escaping suggests that we're getting out of his chokehold with the knife next to our throat. Let's take a look. So what happened there? Well, it's similar to escape from death, where I'm in a forearm choke from behind, but in this case the opponent is pressing a knife against my artery or against my throat, and he may have another hand here somewhere. I encourage you to kind of lean back a little bit. I think it'll give you a little more space to grab here, and it'll give you a better position to sort of torque your body. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step out towards my 3 o'clock into a horse stance. I'm going to pivot towards him and hammer fist to the groin, just like escape from death. But now I can't ignore this knife, because if I'm not careful, he's going to start cutting me. So I may end up doing 2 or 3 hammer fists. I may end up stomping on the instep of his foot or scraping his shin. But before this knife will start coming back in towards my throat, I need to get my head free. So I'm catting around his foot to the outside of his leg as I simultaneously free my head. I can use my left knee here to check against his leg, and in addition to my wrist grab, I'm going to grab the inside of his elbow. And what I want to do is plunge the knife into his abdomen. So I'm going to pull his arm towards his body as I simultaneously push on his wrist. And that could be 2 or 3 of those if necessary. And then my left hand turned over and checked at the elbow to keep his arm from returning towards me as I made my cover out towards my original 130 or so. So let's try that from another angle. Let's see, maybe this way, so you're behind me over here. So here I am with the knife against my throat. It may be natural to put your hands up, and maybe just have your hands by his wrists or up in the air, like, hey man, don't do anything, and it gets you in a much better position to immediately defend from. So from here, hammer the groin, 2 or 3 of those if necessary, step out and around. Now at this point, you may choose a different defense. You could put him in an armbar, like falling lance, and try a wrist lock takedown if you wanted to. But here we can examine the possibility of just grabbing his arm and driving the knife into his abdomen before covering out. Now, let's go back to our original position. Sometimes I've seen this scenario taught, and the opponent's left arm is forming a half Nelson underneath in perhaps grabbing my shoulder or the back of my head to sort of take this arm out of the equation. I don't think it does quite as good a job of holding me here. I mean, if I wanted to, I feel like I could walk away a little better than if he had his arm around, but it definitely prevents the hammer fist to the groin. So your initial defense is going to be pretty much the same. If you're in this position, you grab his wrist and step out. I think a stomp to the foot would make a lot of sense. If you can't break his grip to hit to the groin, you might pop 1 or 2 elbows into the face before trying to strike to the groin. But your primary defense is mainly going to be the same, which is to get out from underneath there. So experiment with a few different ways the opponent could be holding you. Chris was not fighting too hard here, so I could talk simultaneously. But when you work with your practice partner, have him grip you pretty tight and pretty hard, and see if you can convince him, with the strikes and the maneuvers, to let go. So there you have it for escaping the lance.